guys, I am going live tonight. I am so sorry that I missed the live last night, but I'm really excited because we have Whitney Mason on tonight, and I'm gonna try and, oh, here we go. I can add you, hopefully, turn up the volume. Did that work, Whitney? Oh, yay!
You got my table. Hold on. That's not helpful.
It's all right, I know you're there.
How do I flip this? Okay. That's better. Oh, maybe. I'm using my tablet. There we go.
Oh, okay. Hi, how are you?
Hi.
Oh,
I'm good. How are you?
I think
Oh,
you're
yeah, that's weird. There we go. You can tell I do tech.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I just got COVID on Thursday last week. I tested positive.
Do you have symptoms?
Not really. I mean, I did last week. I had like a stuffy nose and a sore throat and that kind of thing, and my taste is my sense of taste and smell went away, but they're back now, so
Okay,
that's good.
that's
It was fast.
fun. Like when we went through it, I went very bad few days, and then it just got a lot better. But a lot of people are telling me like they're not getting any symptoms at all, and like
Lucky them.
so strange. Like, it can vary so much, but yeah. I'm sorry about yesterday. I had this like really weird 24-hour cold. I don't know, like it just knocked me back. I just was like, I don't think I can stay awake that long. So
No worries.
So how are you?
Thank you.
So what I'm going to do is introduce you. So everybody that is joining, this is Whitney. She is a good friend of mine. I like to say.
Yeah.
Internet friends, I guess, across the world. Mostly what I asked you to come on today is because after having your son diagnosed autistic, you discovered that you were autistic, and
yeah.
I've asked you lots of questions, and I just know that the community has questions, and they've already sent in some questions, and I just think it would be an interesting perspective for people to hear from. I get tons of questions about people asking me, oh, did you ever consider that you were autistic? And I just think that these people are sort of just going through their own journey, I guess, of maybe discovering their own neurodiversity. So I guess, yeah, thank you so much for coming on tonight.
My pleasure.
Was it in the morning? How early is it?
It is 6 o'clock. So we may be joined by some little people, and so I apologize if there's some background noise, but
we all understand, please.
It's July.
So while everyone's joining in the live, what I might do is I do this. I'm planning on doing this every week with every guest. Is just debunking some myths.
There's a lot.
There are so many, but these myths I talk about all the time on my page. So I guess we can go through them together, but just quick fire, I guess. Autism is caused by bad parenting.
Yeah, so that one, sorry, autism is actually a special interest of mine, so I might do some info dumping on you guys, and I'm sorry. But in the 1990s, autism was thought to be caused by bad parenting, particularly mothers. They actually coined the phrase refrigerator mother because mothers were considered to be cold. Yeah.
Sorry, just jogged a memory. Sorry, keep going.
Yeah, so that I think perpetuated the thought that autism was caused by bad parenting. But obviously, anybody who watches your channel knows that you are the opposite of a bad parent, and you're full of love and warmth. And yeah, so that's definitely a debunked myth for sure. And it's something a child is born with. It's not something that they acquire after they're born. So it's not like bad parenting could do that. It would just traumatize the kid.
Yeah, and I think that you know, having so many people say, particularly earlier on, like you're in that stage of just coming into the world yourself, and having people say those types of things to you as a parent is just awful.
Yeah.
And but yeah, no, I did read something about that. I think I did read like a timeline of events like with autism, and yeah, I just thought that was insane. Like,
Right.
I couldn't imagine being like a parent during that time and going, like, having someone tell you that.
Right, exactly.
I'm just going to read a few of the comments that
Sure.
came through. I'm sorry, I don't really look at them very much. Autism and the NDIS are my special interests. So someone that one. And number 2, there is an autism epidemic. I posted about this yesterday.
Or someone said, or like TV causes it. So you start questioning every time you put the TV on. Actually, one of my husband was the one that stayed home with the kids at the beginning, and I was working. And one of his friends actually said, "Oh, it's because you're putting the TV on too much. That's why he's not talking." He's like, "No, that's literally the only thing that he will watch and calm down to. It's helping him regulate." You got to teach a lot of people once you get this diagnosis. There's a lot of education, unfortunately.
Yeah, there is. And I think the world is, you know, it's taking a step to improving, but it's
baby steps.
Nowhere near where it should be. What about autistic people cannot feel emotions?
Well, I can testify that I feel a lot of emotions. I feel some very big emotions. I think this one kind of stems from the stereotype that we're kind of cold, analytical people, or that we can't express our emotions, so people therefore think we don't have them. But we certainly do, and with our children too, we see that they have, you know, happiness, they have sadness, they, you know, they love, they, you know, they get angry at stuff, like they're humans too. It's just that expression and understanding. That's another problem that's hard with a lot of autistics, is called alexithymia. Alexithymia is the inability to recognize and name your emotions. Yeah, so if like I personally struggle with complex emotions, so I understand when I'm sad, I understand when I'm happy or mad, but when you get into like jealousy or you know, like really jealousy and envy, those were my big ones growing up, that I could not understand what this feeling was. But yeah, there's definitely emotions that are harder for me to put a name to.
Yeah,
for sure.
but it doesn't, you don't feel them.
Exactly.
Someone said, oh no, you read that comment, sorry. Keep going. Sorry, I'm trying to like
no worries.
Comments at the same time. But actually, while everyone's coming on now, I would love to know if anyone who's watching here, maybe watching because they've gone through a similar process or like journey with discovering their neurodiversity since child, their diagnosis. Is there anyone on here that has gone through that as well, or may look to go through that as well? I think the questions, and you guys are all free to ask questions throughout the live. Whitney can choose which one she wants to answer. Yeah, questions about anything that you wish. And Tiny Girl Gang says, yes, I have questioned that I have ADHD now that my daughter has been diagnosed.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the last myth that I had was autistic people aren't interested in making friends.
That's also another one that I think people get from, especially when your child is young and they're noticing that they play by themselves. They I think people get the idea, or like when I'm burnt out, I don't really want to be around other people. But that doesn't mean I don't want friends. That doesn't mean we don't want connection. It just means that we're kind of tapped out. I kind of think of it like The Sims, you know, you have a little meter and my meter is full and I can't do anymore. And I think another part of that too is it's challenging and very draining for us to make friendships. If I choose to have someone in my life, you're really special, you know, because I'm putting a lot of myself into a friendship. And that's why I only have a couple at a time. I usually have 2 or 3 really close friendships because they are such an investment. But yeah, by no means do we not want them. It's just challenging.
Yeah, and I think when now that Jacob's sort of at school now, I'm sort of seeing him. I guess it's just my observation, but noticing that he's just going up to so many more people, and I think it is sort of like a developmental thing. Like when they're much older, they prefer to. I'm generalizing, but Jacob prefers his own, and then sort of when that he's interacting with his sister and he's interacting with other people and just wanting that connection, which is really cool.
Right.
Yeah. Whitney, how did you realize you were ready, needing to go through your assessment?
Okay. Yeah, that was actually one of I think the questions you asked me, so we'll just jump right into that. So let's see. My son was diagnosed when he was 2.5. That was in 2020, I think. Yeah. Sorry, I'm getting my years mixed up. But yeah, shortly after he got diagnosed, I started going online to get some support. I lived in a rural area in Montana, it's like farmland and that kind of thing. So there wasn't a lot of support. And I'm a visual learner. So for me, YouTube was the perfect avenue because I can see other people. I can see, you know, family's progress and be like, okay, there is hope. And that's how I found you guys. But while I was doing that, I got a lot of suggested videos from YouTube on autism in girls, autism in women, traits, you know, how it can present differently in females. And I kind of ignored it at first. I didn't push any of them. I was like, I don't have this, you know, I don't look like my son. My son is very classic autism, you know, toe walking, hand flapping, spinning, you know, running, bouncing off the walls kind of thing. And I was like, I don't look like that. I can't have autism. And eventually I clicked on one. It was Yosemite Sam. She's a UK YouTuber. And I clicked on hers and I nearly had a panic attack when I realized, like, she's talking about me. And so I looked up another one and I looked up another one. And the more videos I watched, the more I was like, they're explaining what my life's been like, you know, like. So after that, I took some online quizzes too. There's some like the autism quotient, and there's like an ASCII quiz or something like that. I took a couple of those. They all came back saying that I was most likely autistic. So following that, I decided to contact a psychologist. And it's different with adults because with children, it's very standardized. They can go through tests and, you know, mark these boxes and, you know, interview parents and this and that. With adults, you know, it's hard because you've been masking your entire life, and masking is hiding your autistic traits, suppressing your stims so that you come off as looking normal to the public. And that particularly happens when people aren't diagnosed because they're trying to hold themselves to the standard of neurotypical standards, and you don't realize that you don't need to be trying to put yourself up to that standard, you know. So I think it took about 6 sessions between me and the psychologist. She interviewed me she interviewed my mom because she knew me when I was a child. The big thing that they're looking for, I think, is making sure that the symptoms were present in childhood. You know, because a lot of symptoms of autism can look like symptoms of trauma. And a lot of people that are late diagnosed are already traumatized from not being diagnosed early and trying to muddle their way through life. So you really need a skilled, professional that understands autism in adults. But luckily I did find one, and after those 6 weeks, she's like, oh yeah, you're definitely autistic. I'm like, okay, cool. And then you just kind of have this rebirth process because the person I used to think I was, I didn't have to pretend to be that person anymore.
Did you feel sort of like, I guess, a sense of relief now that you
yes,
because you had those feelings and emotions of you were masking your entire life, and I couldn't imagine it myself, but just thinking the relief.
It's been so, I think my self-compassion has been the biggest change for me, because I used to, the voice inside of my head would be like, well, why can't, for instance, in growing up in gym class, I was not coordinated. You're nearly crying. Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. But in gym class, I was like, why can't I shoot the ball? Why can't I catch the ball? Everybody else can. Or I'd get hit in the face and I'd burst into tears. I was having meltdowns, and I was like, it was a lot. But now I can look back and be like, oh, Whitney, of course you couldn't catch the ball. Your coordination wasn't quite there, and that's okay. It would have been so helpful knowing then, and it gives me hope for Zach, knowing that he knows from the get-go that he's autistic.
And his mom, that having his mom know, not everything is the same between the two of you, but
I can relate a lot.
Yeah. Oh, I'm crying. It must. You can just feel the emotion that would have brought on for you, I think. And also, I've spoken to so many people, people in my family and things like that. Just having that diagnosis is just a very defining point.
Life-changing.
Yeah.
It really is.
You go back and you reassess the entire
everything. Oh my gosh. Like I said, I look at gym class, I'm like, oh, that makes sense. Or math and science were particularly hard for me. So I'd go in early, I'd get tutoring, I'd do extra credit, I'd do everything I possibly could so I could pass. So it's hard because those events made me a stronger person, but it was a lot of struggle, So I finally see yourself as you. Yes, I do.
Yeah, that's awesome. So did I miss anything? No, I didn't miss any comments. You're caught up on that. I'm gonna keep going on the question.
Yeah.
Maybe you'll go into, you were explaining a meltdown. Maybe one of the questions from one of our followers was, do you get sensory overload? What does that feel like? And I guess, what does a meltdown feel like to you?
Sure. So for me, sensory overload, it kind of builds. So I can feel my heart racing, my palms start sweating, I get irritable, I get frantic, I feel like my throat's closing up. You really get this kind of fight or flight response. And it's just stuff that to everybody else seems like it's silly, but that's our body's response to these things. It's not fun, but that's just how it happens. And for instance, yesterday I was doing a meeting with Zach's school because he's transitioning into kindergarten, and those big meetings always make me super anxious, and I could feel I was just bubbling at the surface, almost to a meltdown. I was crying, but I was able to still talk. And for me, whenever it gets to the point where I can't talk, that feels like the meltdown. That feels like the tipping point for me. And then once I get to having a meltdown where I'm crying and I can't speak. That's where that selective mutism, for some people, not everybody experiences it, but that's where I kind of go quiet, because my senses are just, they're out of whack, and the last thing I want to do is talk. And kind of the same thing we do with our children is, you know, I try to remove myself from the situation, try to get away from the stimuli. And it's hard because, like, growing up, I didn't know that I had sensory processing disorder. So I didn't know why I was getting migraines, for instance, you know, or why sound would flip my switch so easily. Like, you know, once I got too much auditory input, I'd get really irritable and snap, you know, and be like, get away from me. Or like with touch too, you know, like I would, when I was really upset, my mom would try to hug me. I'd be like, don't you touch me. And she didn't understand why. But like, looking back, it all makes a whole lot more sense now. But yeah, meltdowns are definitely not fun to deal with. But I feel like as I've gotten older, and now that I know that I'm autistic, I can find better ways to help mitigate them. I feel like prevention is the best, you know, best treatment, because once you have one, you can't get out of it, like, or you can't stop it. You can get out of it, but you can't stop them.
I think that's a big misconception as well, is that especially with the younger children, like you can them, or you can you know, you know, there are the it being a temper tantrum, like they're just being behavior
Being
and everything.
sensitive. Yeah, no, I was told I was being too sensitive. You're overreacting. You're being too emotional. Suck it up, that kind of thing. And I'm just like, so then you kind of try, like, I would start holding my breath to try to stop the tears, you know? So I had to like relearn how to cry properly and just let it wash over me, because of how long I just had to, like, felt like I needed to stifle it.
Yeah, because the knowledge wasn't there, the support around you was there, and that must have been so tough, like, in having that sort of, that complex around it, like, you know, this isn't how, you know, it should be, kind of thing, and you know, those things that people said to you, that's horrible. And I guess, you know, it comes with the ignorance, and the people didn't know anything about meltdowns and autism very much. And so yeah, that must have been very difficult. Does anyone else have any experience with, I know there's a few commenters going, but we're a bit out of order, so I'm gonna
That's okay. I think, is eye contact difficult was the next one I have.
Yeah.
And why? Yes, it is difficult. I find eye contact very intimate. And so I really only look like my husband and my close friends in the eye. And really when I do, it's for, I've learned how to do it, you know, so I look at people's forehead or just behind. Whitney, you are so incredible. Well, thank you. Or I look like just behind their heads, you know, so it appears that I'm looking at them in the eye, but I definitely don't like it. It feels very intimate. And I've also found that, like, if I'm staring at someone in the eye, I can do that. If I'm talking, I can do that. But doing both at the same time can be very hard. Multitasking for me is not a strong suit.
Yeah, because it's something that you have to think about doing. Yeah.
Right.
And I mean, I slightly have kind of like problem myself. Like I feel like I'm concentrating on it, and I think that's because I have social anxiety of these situations. But I definitely kind of understand that. I don't.
Yeah, you can relate.
Yeah, I can relate, and yeah, and I guess you going through life having to mask that, you'd had to adapt, and putting sort of looking at someone's the middle of their head or behind them is a way that you masked. And yeah, the next question was, oh, we did that one already. Do you like having autism? That was an interesting question.
Yeah, so I had to think about that one for a second. But I would say overall, yes, I do like having autism, especially now that I know that I have it. I think it was harder having it and not knowing, because, yeah, like I said earlier, you're holding yourself to these standards that you don't necessarily need to. Or like I was working a 9 to 5 and coming home burnt out every night. And I'm like, everybody else can do this. Why can't I? But then slowly adapting my schedule, that made a huge difference. Just cutting back my hours, just like 1 or 2 a day, made a huge difference. So, you know, I think autism can be a gift. I think what's hard, and what I find challenging being autistic is a lot of the comorbid conditions that come with it. So it's not necessarily autism itself. It's my social anxiety. It's my panic attacks. It's my, you know, I have gastrointestinal issues too. So like, it's all the stuff that my migraines, the stuff that comes along with it. I think it's a lot harder than being autistic itself. But I have to say, like, autistic people are some of the most nicest, loyal, most resilient and creative people I've ever met. So it's like, I think it's great to be autistic, and I just think that society needs to be better at supporting us. And I know, like, it's hard. Like with Zach, for instance, you know, he's considered level 3, so his supports are much greater. But for people like me who have lower support needs, I still think there should be support, you know, because like basically they handed me my diagnosis and they're like, there you go, you know, like be on your way. And I'm like, but what kind of support's available for adults? And they're like, well, in the US, not much.
I was gonna
Yeah,
ask,
like,
do you?
yeah, not really. Like social security, like for money, like finances. I tried actually recently going to Social Security disability income, going through that process, because I receive it on behalf of Zach. And they told me that I am not, in a sense, they kind of told me you're not autistic enough to receive funding, which is BS in my opinion. But
Me about how in like a 24-hour period or something, like some kind of statement someone said, you know, someone could be such a totally different person to, you know, their level of support in that hour is different to the level of support that they need on the 13th, 24th hour or something. And it's just so hard to say, oh, you're not, I guess, autistic enough to...
That's the sense that I got. I know it's probably not what they intended, but it was like, yeah, it gave me the wrong impression. So you have to do a lot of advocating for yourself. So like I see a therapist, you know, every other week, and I'm on medication, and, you know, but this was stuff that I had to do myself. And I did that prior to my diagnosis to help support me. So it was just like, yeah, there wasn't a whole lot afterwards. Yeah, so that's why I really advocate for parents to do assessments early with their kids, because you can get the support they need, and hopefully it'll last their lifetime.
Yeah, I agree. You know, a lot of people may say that, you know, why is what's the rush kind of thing, and I think there is an importance to getting that support early, and you know, if the support's there for them, why not? Like, you know, it's it's only going to benefit them, hopefully.
Right.
But someone said, how did you create an autistic adult community for yourself once you were diagnosed?
Yeah. So actually, once I got diagnosed, we moved from Montana to Pennsylvania to get better support for Zach. So I literally got my diagnosis and then uprooted the family and we moved. So my support autistic online, or my adult autistic support is online. I watch a couple YouTubers, Mom on the Spectrum. She's a mom, and she's also got two autistic children as well. So finding adults online that I can relate to, that's helped a lot. And then through that, I found other families and adults that are going through the same thing that I am. And so we've had each other on Instagram and we're connecting that way. I would like to eventually meet someone in person in real life, you know, that's also autistic. But I haven't quite gotten brave enough to put myself out there yet. But I'm sure I will in time.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll come. I think especially with like COVID and, you know, you know, it's all been online. And I think it's important that we have, it is such a benefit that we have such easy access to support and connection to other people through our, it's insane to me to think about, but like, I mean, you know, how many years ago they didn't have that access. There was no support. And now you can talk to different people and relate to different people that are going through.
It's less isolating, for sure.
Yeah, I think this question. Oh, I wasn't diagnosed until after Memphis either. So love to you, Whitney. I think that was little question boxes someone sent me. And someone said beautifully put together. It was. I think it's so, like, I just want to say it's so important for autism parents to hear from autistic people. I think I can come on here and speak, and you know, and I do speak as an autism parent. I don't speak for autistic people, but I think it's important to listen to them, and you guys, you know, you hold the information that we are learning about our children. Yeah, I just think it's so great that you were able to come on here today. And
my pleasure.
Yeah, we really thank you for that. Did we have any more questions? Oh, sorry, one more question. This came on later on.
Okay.
So do you think an earlier diagnosis would help understand yourself better? We probably spoke.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I think, especially when I was growing up, and puberty was particularly hard because all the other girls seemed to have this script that I was like, why do they know, you know, the rules and the ways to do things? And I'm just like, I'm clueless. I felt like a fish out of water. So I think that would certainly have helped then. And also academically too, just getting the support. Like I didn't need a ton of support, but just like having a quiet room to take my tests, because I had terrible test anxiety. And I would perform poorly because I would get so stressed my mind would just go blank. And so I think just having some accommodations would have helped a lot too. But I really advocated for myself. And like when I went to college, I decided to go to a private college because I knew I learned better in smaller classrooms. So I had enough insights that I knew that I needed extra help and stuff. But I think that diagnosis would have helped even more.
You had to do that on your own. And yeah, that's so cool that you were able to do that for yourself.
Yeah.
Like, the next person that isn't able to recognize that, or you know, may just honestly just give up on, you know, or you know, university or something. I've had so many stories, and it's just sad. And if the right support was there, they would have themselves.
Right.
And so, yeah, I think that's sad, but also cool that you're able to do that for yourself.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is fantastic. It's so wonderful to have someone give me some insight into how my son may feel during meltdowns or anxious moments. Yes.
My
And
pleasure.
to have more inclusive and accepting society. Yes. 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think yeah, you're doing amazing, and
Thanks.
thank you so much for coming on to my live
My
tonight.
pleasure. It was fun.
Yeah, no, I think we've done video chats before, so I think it's kind of very similar like setup, except there's people watching us
Yeah.
talk. But anyone that is watching this and didn't watch the beginning, I'm going to be posting this on my Instagram grid so that people can rewatch it if they'd like to. But is there anything that you want to say as like a closing statement, or just some kind of insight that you'd want to give? Mostly, I think people that are parents watching this video right now.
Yeah. Just to know, like, just know that, I mean, I think a lot of parents think, you know, especially when you first get the diagnosis, that your child's not gonna do X, Y, and Z, or you know, you start doubting their future, or what it looked like in your head initially, and just knowing that that they can do anything, and especially with the diagnosis, they're going to get support, and as long as you're supportive for them too, they're going to make it. They're going to do great. There's a lot more now available than there was, you know, even when I was growing up. So even like Zach, you know, who may need, you know, like in-home support care, there is that available now, you know,
Yeah.
whereas, you know, before they had to like institutionalize, you know, people and stuff like that. So just know that there's hope, and that you're all doing great.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. That's really good to hear from you. Yeah, and thank you so much for joining me. I'm so sorry.
No worries.
I don't know, like I know generally how the lives are going to go, but obviously it's just a conversation. So thank you so much.
Yeah,
And
my pleasure.
I'll speak to you soon. Bye, everyone.
Alrighty. Thanks. We'll see you. Bye.